Eric Balance, welcome to the podcast, brother. I'm stoked to have you here.
Brother, super grateful to be here. Thank you for having me, man. It's honestly a pleasure. I'm just pumped up, ready to fire away. Let's rock it.
Let's go, man. So I figured you could give the listeners kind of an early inside look into your life by sharing with them basically like what was life like for little Eric growing up?
Yeah. So I guess for me the biggest thing too is like to also know like a little bit today what I do. And it's like I think for me the biggest thing has always been dreaming, and like how can I be more playful, right? Like what can I do to like have more fun with life? And so, today I get to really like have an identification of living a dream. For me, that's been like, how do you do that? Is like we have these ideas in our minds and it's like these like creative experiences in our brains before we ever have them in our lives. Right. And I remember growing up when I was a young boy, everyone kept telling me you can have it all, you can do everything, you can create everything. Then at one point in my life, somebody started telling me I need to get more realistic. And I call bullshit, there's no necessary, it's like, all of a sudden you need to start living in your head and stop dreaming about like what's possible. And for me, today, I'm in between Tulum, Mexico, and Brazil.
Yeah.
I traveled quite a little bit over the past 4 years, and I continue to expand and like do new things and get out of my comfort zone. But not because I know where I'm going, but because I know where I am. And my belief system is really accepting the journey, is fully present, and I'm not stuck in my head. And I believe in something greater than myself. I believe in this relationship with myself.
Yeah.
And so I think that having and honing in on the relationship that I've created with myself and therefore with my like creator, I've created this this beauty, this blissful experience every single day when I wake up. Because I don't want to like wait someday to live a great life.
Right.
I want it to be now.
Yeah. It's like one
because
of the
I
things,
might die tomorrow,
For real. And it's like one of the things, Tony talks about all the time is it's like sometimes in life we build this thing of like, well, when I get there, I'm going to be happy. And when I get there, I'm going to feel successful. And it's like, well, ultimately you get there. Who's the person that decides you get to be happy? It's you. So, it's like rather than achieve to be happy, happily achieve.
Yeah. I really feel that we have a decision every single day when we wake up. It's like we all wake up the same way, or our feet hit the ground the same way.
Yeah.
But we have a choice. We have free will. That's what the creator gave us. And if the free will is to like look at the negative or all the external circumstances around us that are happening in a light that is not serving us, then that's a choice. But if I get to look at the same experience and be blessed and recognize how can I become creative, which is why we came into this world in the first place, is to use this superpower ability to be creative.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was what pure source gave us. I think that's been the biggest and most blessing that I've received when it comes to teaching is like myself is you are creative to do anything. Like you can people, because I used to tell myself these stories, right? Where like you're not creative enough. Like, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna figure it out? What do you like? Today, right. There's nothing in this world that I can't do. Like I can just tell you that right now because I have the ability to be so resourceful, so full of dreams that like if I don't know how to do something specifically that's tied into the vision, right. I will definitely either one, learn how to do it, right. or two, find out somebody to learn it from, or three, get somebody else to do it.
Yeah, I love that, man. And it's like giving yourself that permission. Like one thing I think that's interesting you touched on in the beginning is it's like we do grow up like, what do you want to be when you're older? And it's like everything's okay as a kid. And one day you have that conversation, whether it's a friend or a teacher, or like something happens. And like one thing I always refer to, like I have two little cousins, they're 11 years old. And I used to tell them all the time growing up, before they even had like a conscious mind, anything is possible. And now they're 11, they'll come around me and they're like, anything's possible. It's like the first thing they say every time. And it's so cool to see that unfold. And one thing I share with people sometimes is it's like a ton of metal, steel flying through the air. That is not realistic. You know what I mean? But yet airplanes fly every single day, thousands of times all over the world because someone thought it was possible and made it happen. Right. But it's like to the natural eye, most people would go, that much metal flying through air, that's physically impossible. So it's like such a important thing, I think, to make a note of in life, that it's like, don't let other people put limits on you, because one, they may not have the life you want. And two, really the only limits at the end of the day that you have are the ones that you put on yourself.
Oh, bro, like it's so true. It's like, you know, I think when people project limitations on you, it's only because first of all, they're doing the best they can with the knowledge that they have.
True.
Right? They're really trying to look out for you with the best interest.
Yeah.
You know, so I think compassion to that is also really beautiful to have. And if we make this distinction of like when people are setting projections on us, that it has nothing to do with us, that we can like help hold the space and realize that just because there's something that they see wrong, even though it may seem like they're projecting it on you and that it's something specifically about you, it has zero to do about you. It never does. Because people forget that we are like the greatest mirrors in the world. You see? So I can look at somebody and see pure beauty and bliss and joy. And another person can see, you know, something complete opposite.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'm not saying that, oh, I only see beauty and everything, because I have an ego too. And like, you know, like my fears pop up and all this stuff pops up. And like the difference between it is I know that I'm not those thoughts. Is so I don't like create an emotional response based on those thoughts. I'm start to have created enough of them and been through those stories many times to notice that I'm creating this story right now. And I need to like remove myself from that story, discern where that's coming from, and then understand that, listen, wow, that was totally a beautiful story. Where am I seeing that in myself right now? Where am I seeing that in myself right now? Right? So it really is, we do become these like most beautiful mirrors. And I really think that when people are setting limitations on others, it's important to see, listen, like remove yourself from that, right?
Yeah.
Let them, you know, have compassion and then make your own discernment, make your own decisions, make your own thought process, and have the thought process of like, wow, like, you know, I was raised to dream, or if you weren't raised to dream, then start fucking dreaming. But because the point is that we oftentimes from the age of 7, our ego structures gets built, and you know, when up until the age of 7, we saw spirit, we saw, you know, we were able to connect with animals, we were able to connect with plants and trees and you know, fun things like this. But once this age of 7 starts, like there's something in our brain that starts to shift, and our ego structure starts to be developed, and we start hearing these limitations by our parents or people around us, and now they get stuck into our subconscious mind or conscious mind, and really it starts to affect us in such a negative way that we start to believe these stories. And we start to like move forward in life recognizing, you know, I wasn't loved, or I wasn't whatever, like, you know, and feeling all of these like senses of like disconnect, and you know, with society like puts on us too. It's like, you know, we create this identity of what it means, like for example, to be a man, you know, and you know, I knew I had to deal with it. Like that's literally something that I talk about strongly is, you know, I thought I needed to be a macho, masculine prick, you know, masculine. And that's not who I am. I'm a loving, playful boy. You know, like you can call me a boy because I'm a boy for life. Like, and I don't mean that in a way like, you know, we're boys. I mean that in like, I want to be a child. I want to be a boy. Yeah. Just because my body and my age has grown, inside I still want to play. I still want to have fun. I still want to dance and sing and and play instruments and try things and not be scared what anybody's going to think. And that's the thing, is where I feel for me has been the biggest thing, is stop worrying about what people are going to say and go out there and just play. When you were a kid, did you stop playing because your parents said you couldn't do it? No, you kept fucking playing. You're like, let's enjoy. I want to keep playing. Mom, I'm keeping playing. Like, no, or when a common example is, you get back up. Are you still walking? Of course. You wouldn't just stop. So like, why is it that people, when they have these beliefs of dreams that they come up with, or they wake up in the middle of the night and say, wow, I saw something, they don't see that as a vision. They see that as just like a make-believe. Why?
Right. Yeah.
My answer to that is because we don't follow the wisdom that's in our hearts. The wisdom is in our hearts, not in our brains. Our brain allows us to collect information, but it allows that emotion to come through. And if we remember the emotion of what the heart gives us, which is all everlasting love, that's what we really want. At the end of the day, we've become so conditioned to not allow our feelings to make our decisions, not allow our intuition to move us. So we've disconnected our brains from that. But if we allow ourselves to like really receive all of the messages, and we start paying attention, we can start to intuit, and you start making the right decisions. And you do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, based off of what your body is telling, based off of what your feeling is telling you. Because at the end of the day, you don't follow a feeling because there's a fear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it becomes like really fun. So anyways.
Right. So one thing I'm curious that you said that I think is like a mind-blowing idea that I would love you to expand upon is you had a realization at some point that you could separate yourself from some of the thoughts you were having. And I think sometimes in life, people, especially as you're trying to figure out your life, like it's such a heavy weight of like, I'm supposed to have it together. I'm supposed to make this amount of money, or my parents have this expectation, or et cetera, whatever it is. How would you say if someone's in a place where they feel so just like heavy and trying to figure out their life, how can they start to, and maybe it's with their life, maybe it's with something else, but how can they start to separate themselves from their thoughts a little bit and kind of look at it in a different way of rather than reacting, maybe responding?
Yeah, so reaction versus responsiveness. This is really cool. So, for me, I used to think that my brain or my thoughts, like that I was the mind, right? Like
totally.
And, I really thought, and, people learn about mindset and they start doing mindset development, and they're like, we are like I got the disconnect. I really was disconnected when I was learning mindset, because I thought mindset was like, I got to work on my thoughts and my emotions and all these things. But it's something deeper. It's actually super deeper. It's actually way fucking deeper, right? Because you make a decision from really love or fear, right? And when we're recognizing any decisions that are coming through our head, or any of our thoughts, or any of our beliefs, there really is, it's always a duality. There's always some sort of a duality. So you get to make a decision coming from the head, which oftentimes is a very logical component, is very scientific. And I believe that it's primarily focused on making sure that you're safe, right?
Yeah.
When you come from the heart, you're coming off of faith. You're coming off from a deeper source of wisdom that is even greater than you. You're coming from a place of love, of true passion, of true intention, of wanting to do something that may not be safe. It's definitely not safe.
Yeah.
It's expansive. Yeah. It's growing. It's coming to your essence of who you truly are. So I believe that we have 2 choices in our life. In duality, the yin, the yang. And this is where balance starts to happen, right? And you get to decide every single time, am I going to live from the head, or am I going to live from the heart? And my decisions in the past used to be so focused on a head-focused decision. Yeah. And lots of the times, if you make those decisions on safety, it's because You are worried that something is not going to work out. There's an ego component to it. And I'm not saying ego is a bad decision. I'm not saying ego is terrible. I'm saying that you're making a decision because you're worried something is not going to work out.
Right.
And that is fear. That's an illusion. If you decide and fucking commit, and you know that your heart is telling you something, that wisdom is guiding you something greater, that is you're initiating an experience in your life that is going to culminate and cultivate wisdom in the way that you move, in the way that you live, in the way that you love. And that will amplify a coherence that will start to bring people into your world that you have had no fucking clue that were even possible, because we're commonly so focused on these thoughts, on these ideas of, I want to create these dreams, but how the fuck am I going to do it?
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, because the brain has very minimal coherence, right? The heart coheres and amplifies energy and attracts energy with other people that are in that same level of coherence. So now you're working with true light force energy. And I'm not here to tell you Star Wars or whatever. Like I'm genuinely talking about when you are vibrating at a frequency that is so fucking high, and it's coming through, amplified from your head, going through your sacral center, and then coming up through your heart. That creative life force is now cohering in such an amplified force that people feel you. I could walk into a room full of darkness, like people with negative intention, and in 15 minutes, people around me are happy. And not because I'm talking to them, but because I'm being playful with the either myself, or because I'm exuding this type of energy field that people are sensing. People are coming up to talk to me, like, because, and again, I'm not saying that, I'm not here to tell you like Eric's fucking bomb ass shit. He's the life. I'm saying that I live with an abundant force of energy inside of me, and I always come from the heart. And if I don't come from the heart, and I'm making sure that these thoughts are coming up, I'm asking myself a question. What am I scared of? What am I scared of? Why am I in the fear right now? Like, what is it that I don't trust about myself? Where is this showing up in my body? And so these thoughts of, like, I can bring it to like relationships, or, I can bring it to, I'm not a successful guy when it comes to relationships. So like in the past, I would be fearful of getting my heart broken. Now I'm making a conscious effort to always not try, but do. Give it all. And if it doesn't work out, it's only because there's something greater. Give it all. Give everything that I have. And if we stop doing that, and we stop getting into our minds when there's these reactions that, like, something, somebody has said something and it's upset you, think about what they're saying and why they're saying it. And it brings me back to the mirror. It brings me back to the mirror of, like, hold on a second. What they're saying may have, like, hurt me, but really it hasn't. The emotion that's coming through you right now, that is your reaction, right, to something, because you haven't taken yourself out of the play, because we're actually reversed. So people react to something and they feel like a negative response, and so they just, like, attack it and they go at it. But instead, allowing themselves to sit there and, like, recognize, like, zoom out, right? What's really going on here, and see where their perspective is, or understand they may be in a different, like, place in their life, or maybe, could this be true, right? Like, any of those questions, and then just, like, really observe that for a moment, and then feel it in your body, and really ask yourself this question, like, is this integral to the way that I want to show up in the world? And this has given me so much guidance in myself, like, just being really conscious of the way that I am, and the way that I'm, like, responding to people. because there's times where people say shit to me that I don't
doesn't make
necessarily
you feel
agree
good.
with. Yeah, and
Yeah.
or it won't make me feel good immediately, right? But I don't fucking like start,
Going at it with
jumping
them.
down their
Yeah.
throat. I ask myself questions like, how do I want to respond to this? How do I want to react? Because like, is this really, because is this really about me? Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, like it could be painful, but sometimes that element of like compassion and like holding space for the other person, I believe they need to work through their things, and then eventually they'll see. You can hold really strong boundaries with love, right? Say, listen, like, I appreciate what you're saying, but like, I really, I don't feel in the right place that to like continue this conversation. I think I'm gonna just like walk away right now
Yeah.
because I'm feeling an emotion, and I know it's not anything to do
It's
with the
not
way
going to
that
be my
like,
real answer. It's just
yeah,
going to be
like
an
it's just
emotional.
it's coming from an emotional response that I really don't believe is what is my best interest. You take
Right.
yourself out of that situation, you discern that situation, and then you really receive it. And then you're like, okay, and once you're back in that place of heart, and you're
Yeah.
back in the place of wisdom,
Then approach it.
wisdom, that's when you make it right. That's when you give a proper,
Yeah.
response.
Yeah.
So sorry for
So
the long answer.
yeah, no, I think it's really interesting though. It's like really allowing yourself to take that kind of backseat perspective at what's going on, and if you can really allow yourself to separate yourself from the thoughts. Like someone once used to tell me, any thought you're having, like even a simple exercise you can do is if you have a thought that's not serving you, write it down on a piece of paper and just look at the thought. And like just by putting it in front of you and separating yourself from it, right? Maybe this is like obviously when you're by yourself, not in a conversation with someone else. Just by looking at a thought on a piece of paper, it does something for you that goes, wait a second, that's what I'm thinking, but that's not who I am. And is that something I want to believe, or is that something I don't want to believe? Do I want to change that? And then on the same piece of paper, maybe write a different belief, which is the one that would serve you, and then start to re-put that belief
Love that.
into you, right? That's really going to allow you to be who you want. And so,
I love that.
one thing,
I think that that's like almost like having a third person in the room.
yeah, it allows you to separate yourself, which is huge. And if you really don't like the thought, another level you can go is like rip the piece of paper up, light it on fire, like do something literally to feel as if you are exorcism is the word I'm thinking of. I don't know how to say that, like exercising it out of your body or however you would say that. But do
It's really,
something.
you can, and like it's fascinating that you say that word, because I think, like I said, at the end of the day, there's two sides, right? There's a light and a dark side. We're always gonna have both,
Yeah.
and we get to decide every single day how are we going to make a choice of like what we want to show up, you know.
Big time.
And we get to like we really get to be a light, or we really get to be in like this fearful state. It's
Yeah.
totally my belief system that we are innately good and innately have to make bad decisions, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so one thing I would love to jump back kind of into in your story is I know kind of as we talk about like light and dark, there was kind of 3 years specifically that I'm going to touch on when you were from 16 to 19 that you took a little bit of a deeper dive kind of into the dark. And kind of what I would love to hear from you, and you can expand upon what happened those years, is as you turned 19, you started to come back to the light. And I'm curious if you could explain, like, how did you go, like, one, what was that place of kind of darkness that you went to? And then two, how did you successfully come out of it yourself being in a deep place?
Yeah. So from the age of 16 to 19, I was addicted to crack cocaine, like heavily. And there were times when my parents didn't know where the fuck I was. And to me, I believe the reason that I needed to go through that was to go to hell, like literally go to the depths of hell. And to really understand how that really affected me and the people around me. And that was happened, like, that happened for me, that whole event
Yeah.
happened for me. My spirit needed it to really, like, you know my human avatar needed it, so
Yeah.
that my because my to show how strong my spirit is,
Yeah.
to show my mind how strong my spirit is.
Yeah.
And it was a question that my father simply asked me, and it was like, there was a moment where he was asking the human of me, like, Eric, if you can go to rehab, like, I don't want you to do this for me anymore, and I don't even want to do it for yourself. But what if you could do this for your future self? And that's when my spirit took me the fuck up, picked me up, and said, like, literally out of my body, I got to look at myself. Like, the consciousness of me, like, literally looked at my body. I had like this like moment where I was facing myself. It's like I came back into my body, and I was just like, let's go.
Yeah.
And it was like an awakening. Like I've had multiple, but like like it was just like it was a moment where it recognized, and I got input. I went into a rehab at a very spiritual place. It was called a Indian Métis Rehab Center in Bonnyville in Alberta, where I'm from, in Canada. And it was a very spiritual place, an extremely spiritual place. So we were doing like sweat lodges and like prayers, and like it was with the elders, and like really beautiful things, right? Like really what now is beautiful, because it's like what I like live in, you know what I mean? What I get to spend time with, and with tribes, and like communicate with, and how like that's my lifestyle, is like praying often. And to me, this is like, in fact, tonight, on this day that we're recording this podcast, I'm actually going and spending doing ayahuasca with all the tribal leaders from Brazil, the Yanawa tribe and the Honeyquin tribe. And because I'm also like doing things in Brazil, so like I get to spend time with community leaders tonight, praying. And I'm going into the community in Brazil to be able to like start these type of processes and programs with development and like consciousness. And I feel like I'm getting like spirit is coming to me right now with a massive blessing. I get to sit with massive spiritual leaders tonight, but
it's gonna be a
wrapping
experience and a half,
bro. And it like, this is, I've spent 3 times, this will be my 3rd time with the Ninawa, the shaman from the Honeyquins, and he, like, the chief, and he is like a powerful master. I bet. But my point is that for me, those 3 years, I believe, were bringing me to an awareness to like really identify with what I needed to do the work. And by the way, after 19, like there was still ups and downs, and I still lived a very unconscious life for a very long time, because I thought first it was all about money, and then it was all about success, and then it was all about the girls, and then it was like and then it was all about like figuring out my mind, and then finally I realized it's about like living on purpose. It's about the relationship with yourself, the relationship with your highest sense of self, and that equals your connection to your creator, to pure source consciousness.
That's beautiful, man. Could you expand a little bit upon, and I know this is a philosophy you have in your life, that life happens for you, not to you, right? Because I think many people would see you were addicted to crack for 3 years. How does that happen for you? And like myself, I've had cancer. I'm healthy today, and I see it as well as like that was something that happened for me in my life, because I needed it to build myself back into my true self. And I'm curious, like how, like why, I guess, should people take on that philosophy, and really what's like the importance behind that? Because think of the lessons. I mean, like today, I can have so much more compassion to how deep down I go. I went to an event last night, and there was like a lot of like, it was very like party-esque, and like it was a beautiful event, but it was like very like, there was a lot of like things that I don't do anymore, right? And like, for example, like alcohol, and I'm sure there was like a lot of drugs and whatever. But like, am I there to judge anybody, or am I there to just be like a super bright light, And I wasn't there to judge individuals. And it's so beautiful, because I can sit here and tell you, oh yeah, like those people are unconscious and they don't have no idea, and like all like all these like things of like they have no, like, no, they're doing literally the best they can with the knowledge they have. So when life happens for us, you are actually doing the best you can. And when you're showing up in the best you can, and you start to later see
and learn from those mistakes, or maybe even sometimes, which is even better, a surprise,
Yeah.
you actually start to anchor these experiences that next time they happen, hopefully, because otherwise they'll
Right.
keep happening, they anchor something in you where you create a new level of awareness and you don't do it anymore, right? So, I was at this event, and people are drinking, having fun, having a good time, and like it's a different feeling of energy, right? Like
Yeah.
I can feel it, and so I'm there, and I just making sure that I'm having a good time, and I'm not like um I'm not really noticing anything, but I see things. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and I just observe my thoughts, because there's judgment that comes by
Right.
for a moment, right? Like, and then you're like, hold on a second, like that's not who I am. I'm not judging myself. Like these
Right.
people have done what I've done, or are doing what I'm doing, and it's like,
Yeah. It's beautiful.
I like to go have a glass of wine once in a while. Like I'm not, just
Yeah.
because I don't drink all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it's really recognizing that everybody is really, really an amazing human being, and like we all have like this beautiful ability to just like love on each other. And I don't care how big of a burly of a man you are, or
Yeah.
how beautiful of a woman you are. If you have a conversation, if I have a conversation with you or you have a conversation with me, and if she's in her masculine or he's in her masculine, or I can guarantee you they will start laughing or turn to love, because I'm just like, how can you not fall in love with like a cute little boy that's playful and having fun?
Yeah.
Like it just, if we all lived life with like cuteness and like some playfulness and like, oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
like I apologize, like, or like, hey, how are you doing? I hope you're having, like, things that would normally trigger us, right? Normally trigger the person that really like, that is thinking, how can I impress somebody, or how can I, like, how about you start living for you? How about
Yeah.
you start living for like the person that you've always like dreamt of being, and like allow yourself to like play on this playground we call planet Earth, and like, grab some friends or get to know some friends. Like, I don't know about you, Stu, but
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I would go up to the park and meet people and like just be
Yeah.
friendly and like have a
For
good
real.
time, and hey, let's go play. How come we can't do that now?
Yeah.
Why do we need to look at circumstance that's coming into our world and say, poor me, poor you, you're an asshole? Why don't we make a decision today and create a little bit more of awareness around our experiences, and say, listen, why did this show up in my world, and what can I learn from it?
Yeah.
Like,
Love it.
where's the lesson? Where's the fucking
Right.
lesson? Because
Because
these
there's always a
lessons,
lesson every time.
there's always a lesson.
Right.
Always a lesson, right? Like the lessons are the greatest gifts of our journey, because it makes us so much stronger, and it allows us to become so much more conscious in everything that we're going to do afterwards. And if we find we're in a new situation and we have no idea how to execute that situation, and you have this developed level of consciousness, you start asking the right questions, because the quality of our questions determines the quality of our life,
Facts.
right?
100%. 100%. So one thing I'm very curious to ask you is, you've experienced two sides of the power of associating with positive people and the power of associating with negative people, and literally like the two extremes of how it can do amazing things, and like you said, almost create like a hell on earth. I'm curious, how would you recommend people, if someone's listening to this and they're going, I know I need to associate myself with better people, but like my family's negative, or the group of friends I'm around, just like they're pessimistic, or like I'm not around the right group, and I'm aware of that, but I don't know where the hell these positive people are, the people that I should associate, that can lift me up, that can empower me. I would be curious, like, what is a tip you could give someone in that place on how to build a better association and get around better people?
Yeah, for sure. This is really cool, because I think the biggest thing is like, social media is so big right now. YouTube.
Yeah.
Start following people that like inspire you. Start like looking at, when I was doing it, when I started, I was like, I want to start following people that like are doing what I'm doing, or doing what I want to be doing.
Right. Yeah.
So like I started following people like Tony Robbins and Jay Shetty, and like, big people that, are making a shift in the world.
Yeah.
People that are making an impact, people that are living their best life on purpose and supporting other people to get to their purpose.
Yeah.
And I started taking in their content. And the people in my direct circle started laughing around me. Right? Like they're like, you're a dreamer, like you're unrealistic, like, hey, Mr. Positive, like, and
Yeah.
and then like, and that was still when I was like kind of really strongly in my masculine. So I would tell them to go like fuck themselves, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so I was like this,
Not from a place of love. Yeah.
No, and it wasn't my place. It was like I was this positive asshole.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
So like if you didn't like my positivity, I would tell you to go fuck yourself and like don't talk to me again. So it was really, but so I was really learning a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
But the point was it was like it was really important for me to know at that point, and the reason it served its purpose is because I pushed away the people that I repelled. I literally repelled them,
the negative
away
people,
from me, right? So I knew that I didn't want to be around them because so even though I wasn't showing up in the best way possible as who I was, it served its purpose in that moment.
Yeah.
And so I actually repelled a lot of people away from me because of my strong personality and my intensity. And I just really started going inward and doing more inward. So like, if you're in a place right now where your parents or you're something, like, allow yourself space, give yourself space, because the greatest relationship you can ever have, and I said this earlier, is with yourself. And so if you allow yourself to go inwards and you start focusing on really identifying, what you really want and how you want to do it, but recognizing that it has to start from like here, people are going to start seeing around you, right? Like I remember, I don't know if we have time, but like, I want to make sure that I say this. So I remember I shared a post about like my ex-wife and I splitting up, and I was super vulnerable, super like, and I remember my uncle at the time, he had said to me like, man up, like stop telling people your problems and shit like this, like you should be ashamed. And I literally like was like hurt. I was hurt. And I remember going with one of my old professors. Then we became really good friends from university. He was a professor, and we just became buddies because I was like a really old student apparently. And he was a really young professor, so we became bros. Anyways, the point was, he and I went for dinner, and I really like looked up to him. Like, he was like, and I told him this, and he's like, that is some of the strongest shit you can be doing. And I looked at my, and like my uncle and I are good now. Like it is what it is. Like it happened.
Right.
This was like 4.5 years ago. And he was like, I noticed that it was just like his own like limitations or his own shame or whatever's showing up in his own life, right? And he was projecting that on me.
It was his mirror again.
It was his mirror, right? And I allowed myself to be vulnerable, right? And so to me, what happens if you're vulnerable about where you're at, and you're vulnerable around what you really want to create and how you really want to, like, what pain you're going through? Ask yourself that question. And if you share that publicly or to people that you love, and see how close they come to you. If they come close to you, then you know that they're around, they're meant to stay next to you. Right. But if they push away from you and they judge you and do things, is it really worth having that around anyways?
Yeah. And the people that are meant to be in your life, I feel like oftentimes will step up and go, oh my God, this is where you're at. I didn't know that or quite understand that. Like, can I help you? Right. If you have the right people around you, they're going to want to help build you into the best version of yourself. And all of a sudden now you root that relationship even deeper. That's the one you're really supposed to have in your life. Right?
Absolutely.
Versus some of the other people go, oh, that's what's going on. Well, good luck, or, man up, or whatever it is that they say. That again is a beautiful way to separate who are the people worth keeping around in your life.
Exactly. And we really forget that vulnerability is actually the opposite of weakness. It's a superpower.
Yeah.
Because you see, when we open our hearts and we allow ourselves to be seen, you attract the people that want to support you and serve alongside you. You make space for really fulfilling your truest dreams, because there's people out there that also had those same dreams, and they want nothing more but to fucking help you.
Yeah.
They want nothing more but to help you make it happen. So if you stop telling yourself that everybody's out to get you, because that's just a fear-based, and you start recognizing that most people want to really serve you and want to be there for you, and like just are looking to love on you,
yeah,
you're going to attract the right ones. And yeah, it might take some time, but at the end of the day,
even if it takes time, worth it.
Yeah, everything takes time. Like, bro, I thought I was gonna, go bankrupt a couple of years ago, and thank God I didn't. Like, I just decided and committed and made it happen. And like, and you know what? If I did, I would have figured it out anyways. Right?
Yeah. Truly, man.
Like it always. It's just this belief system where you're like, there is nothing that's going to stop me from truly manifesting what I can do in this world. And I have all the energy in my like ability to execute, and like belief in myself, that people are just not going to see anything but a mirror of like full fucking abundant, loving energy out of me. And that was what I committed. I was committed. Like, so now my like mission is like, I am going to be the mirror of what heart wisdom looks like for this entire planet. Like, I'm going to be that mirror. There's nobody out there that has more energy than me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Like that.
For real. And it's contagious to be around that too, right? If you put out the positive, people are going to respond to that in the beautiful way. And ultimately you'll find the right people around you. So Eric, I'm curious, man, if people want to get more info, I know you are up to a massive amount. You got your podcast yourself, a lot of other things you're up to. If people want to get more info on you, where's the best place to check out what you're up to?
Yeah, you guys can, there's a couple different things. Like, so check me out obviously on Instagram. I'm very like active on Instagram. If you're in Tulum, I'm still here for another week. I don't know when this podcast comes out, which if it doesn't come out on the right time, then come to Brazil.
You'll be in Brazil when this is live. If you're hearing this right now, Eric is in Brazil.
Yeah, sweet. So go to ericbalance.com or check me out on Instagram or Facebook, Eric Balance. Super simple. Yeah. I'm always there to serve. Just follow me, ask me some questions, whatever I can do. But at the end of the day, my focus is to really help leaders tap into their heart wisdom so we can impact the next generation. And I got a couple of retreats happening this summer in Brazil, June, July, August, and we're also working on the development to build the retreat center in the community space down there. So I'm really, really excited. And, like I said, tonight I get to spend time with all the leaders from that area in Brazil and the Amazon and the tribes. So it's going to be a really magical evening, and just a lot of like blessings and, prayer and intentions and love. And I'm just grateful to be able to continue on this path, man. So yeah, if you guys are there, just check me out. I look forward to connecting.
Absolutely. And so last question I got for you, Eric. We ask this to every guest because the podcast is about helping people find direction, but we got to be moving forward in order to do that, right? Rather than just sitting still. Sometimes we can sit still, but anyways, the point I'm getting at is, what would you say is one thing someone listening to this can do in the next 24 to 48 hours to start finding direction in their life?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that we need to really do every single day is make a decision that's outside of your comfort zone. So
Mm,
if you want to really, and if you're fucking dead set serious on making a direction and you're going to be pulled in it, do something that's uncomfortable. Pay for the course that costs a little bit too much money and you're not fucking wed, you can't afford it, and push yourself outside and then fully commit yourself. Because if you pay a little bit too much money for what your mind's telling you,
right.
because you're going to commit yourself energetically. That, because remember, that's an exchange of energy. So you're gonna energetically commit yourself to that course, and you're gonna build so much fucking momentum that is gonna make shit happen. Go put yourself outside of your comfort zone. That's the only way that we make things happen. I just learned how to play guitar. I mean, I didn't learn. I'm practicing.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, I don't fucking have a clue. I always told myself I'm not gonna be a musician. Story bullshit. It's time.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it, man. Yeah. I one of my mentors taught me this quote. He said, successful people do what's uncomfortable until it becomes comfortable. That's why they're successful. And following that is like a silver lining in my life. I'm sure just like you're preaching here is it's like that has allowed so much growth and so much opportunity and so many open doors. And so I love that piece of advice. Do something that makes you uncomfortable.
And it's the only way it's the only freaking way that allows you to grow. Because
Yeah.
it's easy to go sit and have pizza, watch the hockey game, basketball, whatever you like watching, and
Yeah.
just be happy and complete that way. That's easy. That's easy. But if you're looking for fucking growth and you really want to make a shift and make a change, you gotta do something about it.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Well, thank you, Eric, so much for being on the podcast, man. I know you're in Tulum. Have a beautiful night, man. That's going to be a wild experience. And thank you for pouring so much value into all of our listeners. Big time appreciate it, man.
Bless your heart, brother, and thank you. Thanks for having me, man. You're a gentleman, and honestly, I'm just grateful to be able to support your mission and your vision. And if there's anything that I can ever do for you, brother, I'm always here for you.